Hindustani, historically also known as Hindavi, Delhi, and Rikta, is the lingua franca of North India and Pakistan. It is an Indo-Aryan language, deriving primarily from the Kari-Boli dialect of Delhi, and incorporates a large amount of vocabulary from Sanskrit, Persian, Arabic and Chagatai. It is a pluricentric language with two official forms, Modern Standard Hindi and Modern Standard Urdu, which are its standardized registers, and which may be called Hindi-Urdu when taken together. The colloquial languages are all but indistinguishable, and even though the official standards are nearly identical in grammar, they differ in literary conventions and in academic and technical vocabulary, with Urdu adopting stronger Persian, Turkic and Arabic influences, and Hindi relying more heavily on Sanskrit. Before the partition of India, the terms Hindustani, Urdu, and Hindi were synonymous, all covered what would be called Urdu and Hindi today. The term Hindustani is still used for the colloquial language and lingua franca of North India and Pakistan, for example for the language of Bollywood films, as well as for several quite different varieties of Hindi spoken outside the subcontinent, such as Fiji Hindi and the Caribbean Hindustani of Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, Jamaica and South Africa. History. Early forms of present-day Hindustani developed from the Middle Indo-Aryan Apabhramsha vernaculars of present-day North India in the 7th–13th centuries CE. Amir Khusro, who lived in the 13th century CE during the Delhi Sultanate period in North India, used these forms in his writings and referred to it as Hindavi. The Delhi Sultanate, which comprised several Turkic and Afghan dynasties that ruled from Delhi, was succeeded by the Mughal Empire in 1526. Although the Mughals were of Timur or Turco-Mongol descent, they were Persianized, and Persian had gradually become the state language of the Mughal Empire after Babur, a continuation since the introduction of Persian by Central Asian Turkic invaders who migrated into the Indian subcontinent, amongst the most notable Mahmud of Ghazni, and the patronization of it by the earlier Turco-Afghan Delhi Sultanate. The basis in general for the introduction of Persian language into the subcontinent was set, from its earliest days, by various Persianized Central Asian Turkic and Afghan dynasties. In the 18th century, towards the end of the Mughal period, with the fragmentation of the empire and the elite system, a variant of Kari-Boli, one of the successors of Apabhramsha vernaculars at Delhi, and nearby cities, came to gradually replace Persian as the lingua franca among the educated elite upper class, particularly in northern India, though Persian still retained much of its preeminence for a short period. The term Hindustani was the name given to that variant of Kari-Boli, for socio-political reasons, though essentially the variant of Kari-Boli with Persian vocabulary. The emerging prestige dialect became also known as Urdu. The more highly Persianized version, later established as a language of the court, was called Rikta, or mixed. As an emerging common dialect, Hindustani absorbed large numbers of Persian, Arabic, and Turkic words, and as Mughal conquest grew it spread as a lingua franca across much of northern India. Written in the Perso-Arabic script or Devanagari script, it remained the primary lingua franca of northern India for the next 4 centuries and achieved the status of a literary language, alongside Persian, in Muslim courts. Its development was centered on the poets of the Mughal courts of cities in Uttar Pradesh such as Delhi, Lucknow, and Agra. John Fletcher Hurst, in his book published in 1891, mentioned that the Hindustani or camp language, or language of the camps of Mughal courts at Delhi, was not regarded by philologists as distinct language but only as a dialect of Hindi with his mixture of Persian. He continued, but it has all the magnitude and importance of separate language. It is linguistic result of Mohammedan invasions of 11th and 12th centuries and is spoken by many Hindus in North India and by Musalman population in all parts of India. Next to English, it was the official language of British Indian Empire, was commonly written in Arabic or Persian characters, and was spoken by approximately 100 million people. When the British colonized the Indian subcontinent from the late 18th through to the late 19th century, they used the words Hindustani, Hindi, and Urdu interchangeably. They developed it as the language of administration of British India, further preparing it to be the official language of modern India and Pakistan. However, with independence, use of the word Hindustani declined, being largely replaced by Hindi and Urdu, or Hindi-Urdu, when either of those was too specific. More recently, the word Hindustani has been used for the colloquial language of Bollywood films, which are popular in both India and Pakistan and which cannot be unambiguously identified as either Hindi or Urdu. Modern Standard Urdu. Urdu is the national language of Pakistan and an officially recognized regional language of India. It is also an official language in the Indian states of Jammu and Kashmir, National Capital Territory of Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Telangana, and West Bengal that have significant Muslim populations. Modern Standard Hindi. Standard Hindi, one of the official languages of India, is based on the Khari-Boli dialect of the Delhi region and differs from Urdu in that it is usually written in the indigenous Devanagari script of India and exhibits less Persian and Arabic influence than Urdu. Many scholars today employ a Sanskritized form of Hindi developed primarily in Varanasi, the Hindu holy city, which is based on the Eastern Hindi dialect of that region and thus a separate language from official Standard Hindi. It has a literature of 500 years, with prose, poetry, religion and philosophy, under the Bahmana kings and later on Kutab Shahi, Adil Shahi etc. It is a living language, still prevalent all over the Deccan Plateau. Note that the term Hindustani has generally fallen out of common usage in modern India, except to refer to Indian as a nationality and a style of Indian classical music prevalent in northern India. The term used to refer to it is Hindi or Urdu, depending on the religion of the speaker, and regardless of the mix of Persian or Sanskrit words used by the speaker. One could conceive of a wide spectrum of dialects and registers, with the highly Persianized Urdu at one end of the spectrum and a heavily Sanskrit-based dialect, spoken in the region around Varanasi, at the other end of the spectrum. In common usage in India, the term Hindi includes all these dialects except those at the Urdu end of the spectrum. Thus, the different meanings of the word Hindi include, among others, standardized Hindi as taught in schools throughout India, formal or official Hindi advocated by Purushottam Das Tandon and as instituted by the post-independence Indian government, heavily influenced by Sanskrit. The vernacular dialects of Hindustani as spoken throughout India. The neutralized form of Hindustani used in popular television and films, or the more formal neutralized form of Hindustani used in broadcast and print news reports. Bazaar Hindustani. In a specific sense, Hindustani may be used to refer to the dialects and varieties used in common speech, in contrast with the standardized Hindi and Urdu. This meaning is reflected in the use of the term Bazaar Hindustani, in other words, the language of the street or the marketplace, as opposed to the perceived refinement of formal Hindi, Urdu, or even Sanskrit. Thus, the Webster's New World Dictionary defines the term Hindustani as the principal dialect of Hindi, Urdu, used as a trade language throughout North India and Pakistan. Hindi and Urdu. Although, at the spoken level, Urdu and Hindi are considered registers of a single language, they differ vastly in literary and formal vocabulary, where literary Urdu draws heavily on Persian and Arabic. Literary Hindi draws heavily on Sanskrit and to a lesser extent Prakrit. The grammar and base vocabulary of both Urdu and Hindi, however, are the same and derived from a Prakritic base, and both have a heavy Persian influence. The standardized registers Urdu and Hindi are collectively known as Hindi-Urdu. Hindustani is perhaps the lingua franca of the west and north of the Indian subcontinent, though it is understood fairly well in other regions also, especially in the urban areas. A common vernacular sharing characteristics with Urdu, Sanskritized Hindi, and regional Hindi. Hindustani is more commonly used as a vernacular than highly Arabicized, Persianized Urdu or highly Sanskritized Hindi. This can be seen in the popular culture of Bollywood or, more generally, the vernacular of Pakistanis and North Indians, which generally employs a lexicon common to both Urdu and Hindi speakers. Minor subtleties in region will also affect the brand of Hindustani, sometimes pushing the Hindustani closer to Urdu or to Hindi. One might reasonably assume that the Hindustani spoken in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh and Varanasi is somewhat different. Names. Amir Khusro, California, 1300 CE, referred to this language of his writings as Dahlavi or Hindavi. During this period, Hindustani was used by Sufis in promulgating their message across the Indian subcontinent. After the advent of the Mughals in the subcontinent, Hindustani acquired more Persian loanwords. Rikta and Hindi became popular names for the same language until the 18th century. The name Urdu appeared around 1780. During the British Raj, the term Hindustani was used by British officials. In 1796, John Borthwick Gilchrist published a grammar of the Hindustani language. Upon partition, India and Pakistan established national standards that they called Hindi and Urdu, respectively, and attempted to make distinct, with the result that Hindustani, commonly, but mistakenly, came to be seen as a mixture of Hindi and Urdu. Grierson, in his highly influential Linguistic Survey of India, proposed that the names Hindustani, Urdu, and Hindi be separated in use for different varieties of the Hindustani language, rather than as the overlapping synonyms they frequently were. We may now define the three main varieties of Hindustani as follows. Hindustani is primarily the language of the Upper Gangetic Doab, and is also the lingua franca of India, capable of being written in both Persian and Devanagari characters, and without purism, avoiding alike the excessive use of either Persian or Sanskrit words when employed for literature. The name Urdu can then be confined to that special variety of Hindustani in which Persian words are of frequent occurrence, and which hence can only be written in the Persian character, and, similarly, Hindi can be confined to the form of Hindustani in which Sanskrit words abound, and which hence can only be written in the Devanagari character. Literature. Official status. Hindi, a major standardized register of Hindustani, is declared by the Constitution of India as the official language of the Union. At the same time, however, the definitive text of federal laws is officially the English text, and proceedings in the higher appellate courts must be conducted in English. At the state level, Hindi is one of the official language in 9 of the 28 Indian states and 3 union territories. In the remaining states, Hindi is not an official language. In the state of Tamil Nadu, studying Hindi is not compulsory in the state curriculum. However, an option to take the same as second or third language does exist. In many other states, studying Hindi is usually compulsory in the school curriculum as a third language, though the intensiveness of Hindi in the curriculum varies. Urdu, also a major standardized register of Hindustani, is also one of the languages recognized by the Indian Constitution and is an official language of the Indian states of Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Delhi, Jammu and Kashmir, and Uttar Pradesh. Although the government school system in most other states emphasizes modern standard Hindi, at universities in cities such as Lucknow, Aligarh and Hyderabad, Urdu is spoken and learnt, and Saf Urdu is treated with just as much respect as Shuddha Hindi. Urdu is also the national language of Pakistan, where it shares official language status with English. Although English is used in most elite circles and Punjabi is the native language of the majority of the population, Urdu is the lingua franca. Under the name of Hindustani, it was the official language of India at the time of the British Raj. Ending with the partition of India in 1947, the term was a synonym for Urdu. After independence, the Subcommittee on Fundamental Rights recommended that the official language of India be Hindustani. Hindustani, written either in Devanagari or the Perso-Arabic script at the option of the citizen, shall, as the national language, be the first official language of the Union. However, this recommendation was not adopted by the Constituent Assembly. Hindustani outside South Asia. Besides being the lingua franca of South Asia in India and Pakistan, Hindustani is spoken among the South Asian diaspora and their descendants in North America, South America, the Caribbean, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Hindustani was also spoken widely in Burma during British rule. Many older Burmese, particularly the Anglo-Indians and Anglo-Burmese of the country, still speak it, although it has had no official status in the country since military rule. Hindustani, as a term for other Hindi languages outside of the subcontinent, the name Hindustani is frequently used in the sense of Indian, and may be applied to any of several other Hindi languages. Fiji Hindi, for example, descends not from Hindi proper, but from one of the Eastern Indian languages called Awadhi. It has a strong Bhojpuri influence that differentiates it from the Awadhi spoken on the Indian subcontinent, though not to the extent of hindering mutual understanding. It is spoken by nearly the entire Indo-Fijian community, 38.1% of Fiji's population, regardless of ancestry. Similarly, Caribbean Hindustani is actually Bhojpuri and is spoken in Suriname, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, and Belize. Sanami Hindi is the third most spoken language in Suriname after Dutch and Sran and Tango. This is due to the emigration of East Indians from the Indian states of Bihar and Uttar Pradesh in North India. Ethnic Indians form 27% of the population in Suriname. Ethnic Indians also make up around 45% of Guyana's population, the largest ethnic group there. But unlike in Suriname, they have mostly switched from Bhojpuri to English. In South Africa, Kenya and other parts of Africa, older descendants of 18th-century sugarcane workers also speak a variety of Bhojpuri as their second language. Phonology, grammar, vocabulary. Both Hindu and Urdu contain around 5,500 words of Persian and Arabic origin. Writing system. Historically, Hindustani was written in the Kaithi, Devanagari, and Urdu alphabets. Kaithi and Devanagari are two of the Brahmic scripts native to India, whereas Urdu is a derivation of the Perso-Arabic script. Nasta-LIQ is the preferred calligraphic style for Urdu. Today, Hindustani continues to be written in the Urdu alphabet, and this is nearly exclusive in Pakistan. In India, the Hindi register is officially written in Devanagari, and Urdu in Perso-Arabic script, to the extent that these standards are partly defined by their script. However, in popular publications in India, Urdu is also written in Devanagari script, with slight variations to establish a Devanagari Urdu alphabet alongside the Devanagari Hindi alphabet. Because of Anglicization in South Asia and the international use of the Latin script, Hindustani is occasionally written in the Latin script. This adaptation is called Roman Urdu or Romanized Hindi, depending upon the register used. Because the Bollywood film industry is a major proponent of the Latin script, the use of Latin script to write in Hindi and Urdu is growing amongst younger internet users. Because Urdu and Hindi are mutually intelligible when spoken, Romanized Hindi and Roman Urdu are as well mutually intelligible.